So, what was that? It's charging right now. I'm 75. Get off me. Okay. So we talked. Yeah, we talked about last time factoring a little bit. We talked about this idea of factoring, and we started doing it with the greatest common factor. So we reversed this distributing thing. We reversed the distributive property here, and so originally distributing was going this way. You multiplied it back in. And so then we said, okay, well, let's find the greatest common factor now. We talked about that idea, the factor number that divides into both, but the biggest one, greatest. Common, they both have it. And so we said, okay, what's the greatest common factor? And then we kind of pulled it out of there. So we said, hey, our greatest common factor was 3. So we almost pulled or took our 3 out of there. So we put the 3 outside the parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis, we divided each term. So we took this term divided by 3, we got 5x. This term divided by 3, our GCF got 3. That's why we got that. We said, hey, if we went back the other direction, distributing, well, then we get our original answer. So it's the reverse or opposite method of distributing. Yes? Your what? Yes. And then we went through, I believe these next. Okay. Then we went through these examples up here as well together, correct? Did we go through all these 4 together? 2 through 6, okay, 3 through 6. So then we went through these together. 7 and 8 were 6 and 7 were your homework. Oh, well.
I thought it was just 7.
I
think we did 6 in class, and then you were like, just do 7 or whatever.
All right, that might have been it. All right, so for 6, I'll talk about this one briefly. We could only take out 5a was our greatest common factor because we see a b here and we see a b squared here, but this middle term, does this have a b? No, so can we take a b out of this middle term if it's not there? No, so this one can't do that. So we can't take a b out of any of it if we can't take it out of every single one. Just like this one has a squared, and this one only has 1a, and this one only has 1a. So you can only take out the least, which is 1a. Whereas like on 5, if we turn our minds back to 5 here, you have it on your paper as well. 20x squared y to the third, 40x to the fourth y squared. If we look at our variables, how many x's do we see here? X squared. How many x's do we see here? X to the fourth. So what's our lowest number? 2. So that's the most we can take out. The most we can take out of x's is the lowest one of them has. So we were able to take out x squared as one of our factors. And for our y's, this has y to the third, y squared. Which one of those is smaller? Y squared. So that's the most we can take out. They have to all have at least that in order to take it out. So what was the GCF, just the GCF, for number 7 then? For number 7. 3x. Because they all can be divided by 3. And do they all have at least 1x?
Yes.
Yeah. Why can't we do x squared?
Because 9x doesn't have a square.
Because 9x doesn't have a square. Grace?
So why didn't you, like, 'cause I had 3x, but then I also had in parentheses 1x.
So we're going to do that in a second here. So I just wanted to say, hey, first, what's our GCF? And now we're going to put our GCF outside the parentheses, and we're going to start dividing everything. So we take our first term, we put our GCF outside the parentheses, we take our first term, and we're going to write a 3x to the third divided by 3x. Well, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And what's x to the third divided by x? X squared. You can take those exponents and subtract them. 3 minus 1 is 2. So you're just left with really x squared. And we can do the same thing on our next one. We have a plus sign here, so we'll do a plus sign here. So we'll do 6x squared divided by 3x. So what's 6 divided by 3?
2.
What's x squared divided by x? Just x. We can take 2 minus 1 and get 1. So we just have 2x here. And we have a minus sign, so we'll do a minus sign. And we'll go on to our third term. You do it for every single term you see. What's 9 divided by 3?
3.
What's x divided by x?
0.
Just 1, 0 x's. It should just be the number 1 or no x's. So we can just write 3. So what's x to the first, x to the first? What's 1 minus 1? 0. And what is anything to the power of 0? 1.
Okay.
So it'd be like 3 times 1, which is 3. So this ends up being our answer for number 7. And if we wanted to, how could we check our work?
I'll get back to you.
Like distribute it back in, and we should get the same exact thing, right? What happens if we don't get the same exact thing as we distribute? We did something wrong, we need to check that, right?
Would
That-
would it be like your greatest common factor though? Or can it be like
So that's a good question. Grace asked, so what would be wrong? Would it just be the greatest common factor, or would it be something else? Well, it depends on what mistake you made. So sometimes it would be you didn't take the right greatest common factor. Sometimes it would be that you didn't divide correctly. It might be that your signs are wrong. So there's just some different things you want to check over. Question. Right? So if we look at number 8, what do we notice about number 8? What's the first number? Okay. What do we notice about that first number on 8?
it's in the parentheses?
It's negative. I heard someone say it's negative, okay? That's kind of a weird thing I was looking for on that one. I understand that. But it's negative is what we want to look for with that. There we go. Get it full screen so it can actually calibrate. So we want to look at how that's negative. What did we notice about all the others comparatively? How did they start? With a positive or negative number?
Or positive.
Yeah, if you kind of look back real quick to see that the others, you notice that all of them started with a positive number except for this this current one. The rest of them here, positive number, positive number, positive number, positive number, and positive number. This one starts with a negative number. Well, what we actually want to do is we want to make this a positive number. So we want to make sure this is positive. So what kind of number are we going to have to take out to make sure that this first number is positive? A negative. So our GCF is going to be negative. So we just do the same thing we would normally, except for we make it negative because we want to take this negative out of the first term. So what do we think the GCF of these three is going to be? Ben? Just negative 2. Why can't we take any A's out? Because 4 doesn't have an A. The first two have A's. 4 doesn't have an A, so we can't take an A out. Why can't we take out 4? 4 goes into 8 and 4. 2 doesn't go into 2. So in our parentheses, we'll write negative 2 outside the parenthesis, and then we'll start going through and we'll divide. So we'll take negative 2a squared divided by negative 2. What's negative 2 divided by negative 2?
Positive 2.
Positive 1. And then a squared is just a squared since we're not dividing any a's. So it's just a squared. Okay, we have to be careful with the sign here. It was positive, but let's look at this. When we have AA and we divide it by a negative 2, what are we going to get? Negative 4a. So we're going to put minus 4a. So the sign changed. Notice here the first sign changed and the second sign changed. What do you think is going to happen with the third sign? Probably going to change if we're taking a negative out. So let's take negative 4 divided by negative 2. What do you get? Positive 2. So it ends up being plus 2. And this would be our answer. Now we do this because we want this first term to be positive. That'll help us out so much more later on. And so we'll just get in the habit of doing it now, so that way later it'll just kind of be second nature for us. Questions on that one? Okay. So I'm going to hand out a worksheet now for us to work on.
Are we not going to use the parentheses?
We'll go on to section 2, but we'll work on this first. Okay, so this worksheet is 13 problems. It's not huge, smaller than some of our others we've had, you know, like a 20 problemer. And it's not even like 13 where it's like 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C. No, it's just like actually 13 problems. Don't you just love when teachers do that?
Yeah.
It's only 6 problems. Like each problem has like 4 problems. We know what
That's
we're
like
doing.
18.
Yeah, we know what we're doing. It's 24. But, yeah. What's for the than
6
24 though.
times 4. Oh.
It is
Okay, we don't like that.
I'll tell you.
Guys.
Okay. So listen up. Listen up. I actually do want you to do all of them. I want you to do all of them. Okay, we have some work time right now. Let's use this wisely. You guys can listen to music. That's fine by me. Okay, but I want you to do all of them.